Hey guys, I am Ibigandscary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay, this time featuring Gevand in our top left corner, playing our red Terran, and in our bottom left we have Revenge, our blue Zerg. Both players are in Masters. Gevand is in High Masters. Revenge is unranked currently, but he's been in Masters for forever, so I guess he just hasn't done his placement matches or something like that. Drop StarCraft is usually the website that I get those ratings off of, and it's normally incredibly behind. Battle.net has him in Masters, though, and that's usually a good indication of skill. Regardless, Masters versus Masters is going to be a fantastic game. We are on Antigua Shipyard, which everybody knows, everybody loves. Fantastic map. It's got a nice little cubby hole for an expansion, and then a larger ramp leading down to the common ground, which is divided up by this little doohickey, kind of splitting up the large balls that you'll see from either player, really. If time goes on, it depends on if Gevand's going to go for that heavy ground mech that we've seen dominating, or bio, or something like that, and if Zerg just plays Zerg and gets out a large swell of roaches or Zerglings or whatnot, it doesn't really matter. Well, regardless, Zerg always has a big army, but Terran is really the more dynamic one in the matchup. Going to be looking for Revenge to do some early aggression, though, and he's already got 100 minerals saved up, so he'll be dropping his pool a little bit early. Almost at the 15th supply part. Barracks is also on the way for Gevand, so that wall off is going to be completed, but it's getting scouted by the Overlord. Also seeing that there's no early gas shenanigans coming out. One base Banshee play is probably unlikely at this point, but not unheard of. Maybe we'll see both of those gas getting grabbed any second now. And you know what? Those minerals weren't used for a pool from Revenge. It would look like he threw down a hatchery down in the bottom left corner, grabbing that first early expo, going hatch first. It's pretty easy to do that on Antigua, where it's such a huge map. We can see that the SCV, which was sent out right after he was done building the supply depot, is just now arriving at the base. Gevand guessing correctly, as did Revenge, and where the opponent scouted. See the other Overlord heading off to the wild blue yonder. He might approach the other side of the map in 2 to 6 days, which evidently is how long it takes for Verizon to send a router out to the people who are missing the internet. I'm hurting, guys. I'm hurting for certain. Anywho, pool going up for Revenge, so he'll be on his way to get his own defending units. That first Marine's out for Gevand. Looks like he's going to be making motions like he's going to throw down his own expansion. He's got his SCV down there, saving up for 400 minerals. Going to throw down that command center. Not a ballsy move, especially with a bunker sort of on the high ground right around here, so that you can hit the entire ramp but also kill anything that's trying to swing by onto the left side. If you place the bunker too close to the ramp, you run the risk of a Zergling run by just skirting along the edges. They don't take too much damage, and they can get up into the mineral line without really having to deal with the bunker at all. But if the bunker's placed back a little bit, sometimes you can trick the Zerglings to come out, and you can also guard the ramp a little bit more if there's going to be a run-by up into the main. Still no gas out of Gevand, so he's going to be going for a bit more of a macro-style play, throwing down 2 additional barracks, just additional units to get out to hold that early economic lead that he's trying to grab. Right now, Revenge is being a little bit more passive, a little less ballsy than what we'd expect. It's pretty easy to grab a third expansion, and I think Gevand is actually thinking of that too, because he's got his SCV positioned so that whenever Revenge decides to throw down a hatchery, and he will eventually, I'm sure, it'll be scouted almost instantly. Double gas being grabbed just now, which is just kind of weird. You'd expect all that money. I mean, he's got the 300 minerals. I wonder why he hasn't grabbed another expansion. Maybe he's thinking about doing some early aggression. There goes the Roach Warren, so it could be a Roach timing bust. We might expect to see that hit in the next 3 to 4 minutes. Bunker's actually being placed very close to the wall up here, which is very nice. It's very clever. Usually you see the bunker placed a little bit more aggressively, but there's no reason why it can't be placed farther back, especially with the saturation on this mineral line kind of non-existent. I think Gevand is expecting some sort of hit. He sees that the expansion hasn't been built yet. His SCV was scouted by that Overlord, so he knows that if there's going to be action coming from Revenge, it's going to be hitting sooner or later. He didn't get his SCV in far enough to actually scout the Roach Warren, it might be to the point where Gevand might be thinking about sending a Scand down into the main base to scout what type of gas timing he's dealing with. There is no double gas down at the natural, which would lead him to believe some sort of airplay. And he's got to be feeling pretty secured against that airplay because he's mainlining Marines with combat shield on the way. Stim will be a little bit later. But if you start the combat shield, it usually means you're going for a pure bio because you'll see a factory thrown down sometime later and a starport shortly thereafter to get out those Marines with the medevac. And it just makes everything more cost effective, which is really where bio kind of falls to pieces, is being cost effective because everything can die so very quickly and you can lose everything almost instantly. Third gas has been grabbed by Revenge. He's got the double Evo chambers up right now, but only +1 attack on the way. Metabolic boost also started. We're probably going to see a layer on started soon. I mean, he's got good gas income. He just has been spinning all that gas down. He's also throwing down double spore. Even though he has an Overlord in position, he can probably afford to suicide it in, but it won't make it very far before being picked down by the Marines that are kind of waiting in the wings. Double engineering bay for Gevand also. Wow, he's starting on the +1 too. So the aggression coming out of Gevand's probably going to be waiting for that +1 to finish. If he starts the stem right away, he might be able to wait for that too. It looks like he's going to be moving out with a large ball of Marines. Not a bad idea at all. It might be worth waiting for that stem to finish, maybe just the +1. Maybe just wait for the first round of medevacs, but it looks like he's pushing out. No particular timing here, just to see what sort of action he can do, probably just so he can poke in and see what sort of unit composition he's dealing with. Revenge is just now starting to get out the roaches. 3 roaches are out right now, a 4th on the way. We'll probably see a baneling nest thrown down shortly because of that huge swell of Marines means that it's going to be very vulnerable to the AoE damage of those banelings, but it looks like the Marines are completely uncontested in their approach to the 3rd hatchery. That 3rd's going to go down very, very quickly. Revenge is not repositioning the spines that he has already built up on the top side just in case there's some sort of drop play. And with this composition, and we can see the factories being built right now, the factory's done and the starport's being built, and probably if I were to look away from this action, we'd see that the starport has a factory run on top of it with the reactor. We're going to check that as soon as this is done. Those Marines are doing a surprising amount of damage just to the roaches just because of their pure numbers. Units lost tab showing you how heavily this is favoring Gevand, especially because he took down that hatchery, but with another swell of roaches, I think he's going to have to get pushed back. That +1 armor is done. The +1/+1 for Gevand is just now finishing as soon as that aggression is done. Factory picks off. There goes the reactor. He's going to be mainlining out medevacs, which is going to make his force even more intimidating. Adding on another 2 barracks, only 1 with 2 with tech labs, so maybe we'll see some marauders, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's just going to be pure Marines. It's interesting to see so many. No, there's another tech lab. I don't know. I don't know what type of unit composition he's going to be using. I mean, it's bio, but how many marauders will really depend on how many marauders are needed to counter the roaches. There's not a huge number of roaches from Revenge, but there's no way that Gevand can know that right now. It looks like Revenge is actually covering his bases. He's throwing down Infestor Pit as well as a Baneling Nest. Where is that Baneling Nest? Baneling Nest down on the south side. At the same time, sending out a handful of Zerglings just to scout the 3rd. There's already an Overlord in position to see that, and also an Overlord over on the right side to scout that there's no expansion here. So yeah, he always runs the risk of a hidden expansion along the right side of the map. But Gevand just doesn't have the map control in order to justify that. It looks like he is going to be making moves for the 3rd, but that's pretty ballsy because it's very close by air. And if Revenge can get up that 3rd and get it mining, he could expect pretty safely to overrun that bio play, especially with the Banelings now out on the field. He's got more than a handful. What is that? 8, 9 Banelings, and if even half of those connect to this Marine ball, he can expect a huge loss right there. 2 medevacs coming up, dropping units behind the smoke. A little bit of a hidden, kind of not really hidden attack, but it's going to get mopped up by some Zerglings off on the into the base. A couple Banelings also joining in. It looks like the Banelings were actually baited by the drop, which gives Gevand enough time to get the rest of his Marines into position to take down that 3rd again. They're kind of getting hemmed up on the ramp, though, having to turn and fight the Zerglings, which buys enough time for the Banelings to also reconvene down on them. Another round of Marines, this time getting hit by the Banelings. Other Banelings connect on the ramp, and it looks like the third is saved by Revenge, but not many units are out for either player. Just 2 Roaches, a lot of Marines, but the majority of them are back at home. This is the entire standing force of Gevand. It doesn't look like Revenge is going to be in shape that he needs to in order to push back, but the 65 over 54 Harvesters, oh, this looks like a very intimidating... No, it's not a push. What am I saying? Orbital command is up. They're just transferring drones. I thought it was going to be some sort of all-in. I'm like, that can't be how many Harvesters he has. 4 Infestors are coming out. Some centrifugal hooks for the Banelings just to make them even more intimidating to this Bioforce. Every time Gevand has to walk onto creep, he's got to be wincing because he knows that those Banelings are going to be able to close so incredibly fast. Early stim from Gevand makes him even more vulnerable to the to the Infestors with their fungal growth. I was going to say the Banelings because they're already weak, and they take another another stim for them to get away from those Banelings on that creep. But with the Speedlings already out and these Marines kind of weak already, good fungal growths down on them. Really nice split from Gevand, though, forcing the fungal growths not to be nearly as cost effective. And with 3 medevacs in the air, Gevand's actually left with a small force, small enough to push into the natural. It might be worth for him to swing back and actually take out the third because he's done so well in denying that. But the hive is up, and it's really going to come down to Revenge in order to get out the correct units that can deal with this Bioforce. The Infestors have proven to be very, very good, but there's no supporting units to deal with them. And even this small number of Marines with their upgrades, they're proving to be rather resilient against the constant Zerglings and Infestors. They're just not having a very fun time at dealing with this aggression. Another drop from Gevand behind the middle line down at the third. Good placement for the Marines, but there was just too many Zerglings. What type of upgrades are we dealing with on the Zerglings? Are they at 2-2? 2-2. And the Marines are also at 2-2, but it looks like the 3-3 is on the way for Gevand, but there's no upgrades started just yet for Revenge. More than a handful of Banelings will be coming out shortly, but it looks like Gevand is taking precautions against that, spreading them out. Some really nice splits there, and also allowing them to get just absolutely chopped up by those Marines. Still a handful of them do connect, and it looks like the majority of the units have gone down from Gevand, but he's been incredibly cost effective. Look at that. Oh, another drop into the main. Behind in the smoke, it looks like the creep placement really could use a creep tumor in there, but I don't even know what type of early warding he could, how good that would do. It looks like the Zerglings are going off, just trying to do a little bit of damage at the third. At the same time, Revenge is trying to protect his main. The hatchery, the macro hatch, will be going down. Handful of supporting units from the Zerglings just charging into the fray at the main, but there's just not enough of them. He needs a huge swell. He needs this Infestor to throw down a fungal growth. At the same time, Gevand has pushed into the common ground down by that notch. A good fungal growth from Revenge, doing a sizable chunk of damage, but with so many medevacs in the field, I mean, the numbers of medevacs has really skyrocketed as this game has gone on, which is a really good sign. It's just showing you that Gevand is doing a good job of keeping those alive, because those guys are absolutely priceless, and if you can lose them, as a Zerg, if you can get out some Hydras or some Corruptors and actually pick them off, you can do so much at decreasing the longevity of the Marines, which can really just absolutely crush a player in the long term. As things are now, though, we've got 140 over 80 supply. Revenge is in a corner. The third has gone down from the constant aggression of these Marauders, and he's got, even though a very small force, and Revenge might be able to hold this off. I think this is going to be the death throes. Fourth base has been taken by Gevand. His economy is absolutely top drawer. I mean, he's 500 over, and it looks like Revenge has called GG, but Gevand is continuing his aggression. He's just going to be taking down the hatchery. I don't know if he actually realized that he left or not, but the stationary drones, and especially the stationary broods, are probably a good reason behind that. Or maybe he just wants to practice his macro, see about the transition into mech, because he's got that armory out. He's working on +1 weapons, as well as a factory is somewhere. Yes? Where's that factory? Hey guys, that's it for me. If you have a replay you want me to cast, you could PM me here or on Reddit, one way or another. I will see you guys later. I am Ibigandscary. Bye.